Hi everybody, and welcome to the Flower City False Leads coverage of the regional championship that happened at Rochester, New York on May the 30th of 2015. My name's Tim.
And I'm Nam.
And we've got a match here. This is the first of the elimination matches in the top 8. This is, in fact, the number 1 seed, Greg, on the left, playing Sean on the right there, who's the 8th seed. And Sean is one of the local Rochester guys, supporting us in the top 8.
And he's playing NEH, near Earth Hub.
Which, of course, allows you to draw a card the first time you create a new remote server every turn. And then Greg on the left, throw back to the good old days of Andromeda, that 9-card hand size.
Andy.
Yeah, she went away for some reason. I don't know why.
I mean, 9 cards is good, but maybe you just want some crazy new ability instead of just, 9 cards.
Yeah. Everyone went nuts for Leela. I know I did, so.
Whoa.
Phrasing.
Alright, so we're going to start up here, and as we can see that Sean has decided to keep a hand with a few agendas in it.
Yeah, looks like he's got 3 agendas in hand, a couple pieces of ice.
Do we know if he mulliganed or if...
I believe he did mulligan.
Okay, because I don't think he would normally keep this.
Yes.
We'll see.
This is So, icing up HQ, which seems intelligent in this case.
I mean, against Criminal, you kind of want to ice up HQ anyway,
Exactly.
just because, account siphon is a thing.
Indeed. Alright, here comes that legendary Andy first turn. Fairy into R&D interface.
And run.
And he hits an Enigma. So, that is that.
Yeah, nothing else to do, I guess.
And actually, this is where we run into a little bit of a whoops-a-daisy. They forgot that he had lost his 4th click here.
Yes, because he could not break that. So.
Right. And so the players are now realizing this as well. So Greg is looking at the board and realizing something has gone tragically wrong here.
To be fair, I feel like that his punishment of wasting the account siphon should be just his loss. I mean, there's nothing else he could do, basically.
Yeah. So I think
the information's already been revealed.
Right. So I think they're calling the judge over here. So we'll see how they ended up resolving this. But yeah, the problem here was that he hit the Enigma with no way to break it, so he should have lost his 4th click. Then he account siphoned on the 4th click. And so all kinds of information has been revealed. So
Yep.
I think they end up winding it back. And we can hear our lovely TO in the background.
Yep.
Jeremy chiming in. And so it looks like, they are in fact de-resing the Enigma, pulling the account siphon back to hand, because it is, I suppose, on both players to make sure that this kind of stuff doesn't happen, so.
Right. And I can also see that they are not using click trackers, so this might have been mitigated by just simply having them.
Yes.
Who knows?
Use your click trackers, folks.
So despite the fact that, this is a regional, stuff still happens.
Yes, and I mean, we all make these kinds of mistakes. They've been, 9 hours into Netrunner at this point, and
that's true.
We played 6 rounds of Swiss, because we had 45 people turn out, so they've been playing for quite a while at this point.
So what do? We started at 10 in the morning,
Yep.
Went until about 6-ish, and then that's when the top 8 cut. So,
that's right.
Yeah, that's at least 8 hours of Netrunner.
Yes. And so Sean is trying to stone face his way through the fact that his hand is just loaded with agendas right now.
It really helped that his first 2 ice were the same, because I usually have this weird thing where it's like, oh man, what do I put in front of what? It's like, especially if they both don't do the same thing.
Right.
Like, ending the run is really a big thing.
Yes.
But in this case, it made life really easy for him. So
yes.
It's like, block everything.
This is where the ice goes.
Good.
And Greg credits up and runs into the Sand, maybe expecting it to be a daily business show or a pad campaign or something. And that looks like a blacklist that went down.
As it turns out, I found that daily business show has become a really huge card, and everybody's pulling it into pretty much virtually every faction now.
I mean, it's got that NBN disease of only costing 1 influence and having next to no downside.
Whoa. I wouldn't call it a disease, because it's a good thing.
It's a very nice disease.
But now the problem is everybody's using like 6 influence just for NBN.
And then when I make an NBN deck, if I don't put 3 of each of those, I feel like I'm a fool or something.
Because you would be.
Touché, sir. Touché. So we see Symmetrical Visage, one of the new cards that's been very widespread as well.
AKA, I've got a new nickname for that. So when I was playing my 6th round of Swiss here, I was playing against a guy named Darius.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, they're baby credits.
Yes. Kicking the baby. Alright, Sean just desperately digging, probably looking for a Jackson at this point to dump all of these agendas in hand. But instead, he draws more agendas. And so we see he's got, looks like an Eli and a wraparound, and then 10 points of agenda.
Ooh, this is a really tough situation.
Yeah.
He needs to really kind of get a Jackson, although he's doing okay considering... I feel like Andromeda should have been more aggressive at this point, but I guess there isn't anything to do, and technically he knows that Ice is Enigma and won't get through it.
Right.
So I really feel like that the rewind kind of worked in Andy's favor here.
Yeah. Yeah, knowing what the bottom HQ Ice is when you're a criminal is pretty helpful. But of course it was not done maliciously or anything, so can't fault him for it. So Data Sucker comes in, so we're looking at that classic Andy Sucker with the RDI, the Data Sucker.
Security testing.
Turns out it's still good. And Sean gets a pop-up window. So at this point, it's seems like he's digging for Jackson and failing that, probably wanting to try to just start scoring things off that Sand, which he's iced up.
I think I'm sitting adjacent to this game because I can hear myself from another table.
Yes. Yeah, at this point, you and I had already been knocked out. We're just sitting around watching, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was definitely just watching. Because I'm not good enough. How'd you do?
I ended up I started out pretty well, made my way up to the top tables, and then just got spanked back down to the bottom of the pack.
Okay, I think I was in the bottom third. So it was pretty out of 45. I think I was 30th, so it was like right on the cusp.
I ended up around there. I think I started out 5-1, and then we had lunch, and then I went 1-5.
You know what it was? It was the food combo.
It was that lunch, those submarine sandwiches.
Clearly, you just shouldn't have eaten food.
Yeah. All right, so the security testing Desperado, dirty laundry for the big gains there. On to what he knows is a blacklist, so he doesn't have to worry about Jackson's shenanigans.
Yeah, I like what he does because that's kind of what I do with security testing as well. I actually put the security testing in front of the server that I'm targeting because then there's no ambiguity, especially if you have no counters. So
Right. Because that has come up. I know that's come up in a few games of people forgetting security testing was somewhere or thinking it was somewhere else, and nobody wants that to happen.
No, definitely not.
All right, so Sean's still very flooded.
Yep, but he's doing pretty well. I think what he needs to do here is actually get more money. Because if Andy decides to run on multiple places where all the ice is all rezzed, then he can't res everything, I imagine.
Right.
So that's usually my concern at a point like this in the game.
Yes. And so here, actually, icing R&D, which I think is kind of a good play because you're bluffing that there's nothing in HQ worth defending. And so far, he hasn't been making any really aggressive plays towards his remotes, so it's hopefully throwing the runner off the scent a little bit.
If I was this flooded, I might actually consider trying to sneak one out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
But that's me. I don't know about you.
Right. Now, that's, I think, a worthy play at this point, especially since he's using security testing, so he might just security test whatever new thing you put out.
That's true.
But it is, of course, a risky play.
So this is where you gotta feign. You gotta play the mind game. You're like, oh yeah, that's just another marked accounts.
Yes.
You know, that's all. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Oh, and here's Yug. So he knows that there's an Enigma on HQ, there's an Enigma on R&D, so things could start getting ugly here.
Yeah, I feel like even though it really worked in his favor, he shouldn't technically use that, but to be fair, he might have gotten it anyway, because he already knows that other one is Enigma, which that would be an okay play. So
yeah.
And also he's got the fairy, which is the thing that stops all the things that hurt you anyway.
Yeah, so he would most likely face check it anyway at this point. So Eli on HQ. And Yagen on through to R&D for 2 cards and a data sucker. Not a bad deal.
First one. Second one.
Oh, and there's one of the Jacksons down.
Trashes. He really needed that.
Yeah, that was something Sean was really looking for. He was drawing like a maniac to try to get that exact card.
Yeah, as it turns out, it's just not going to work out for him. So.
Yeah.
He's really just got to figure out how to come up here with this.
Yeah. So
now he's only got 2.
So he has all agendas in his hand besides what looks to be a toll booth. And still icing R&D, which, again, is, I think, a great play at this point. To just try to throw the runner off the scent. And it looks like he just reses the blacklist because they know what it is, and there's no reason not to at this point.
Yep.
It's just a security testing target here.
Yeah, since... No, wait, what is the wording on blacklist again? It's you can't play anything or anything from heat cannot be...
It can't leave the heat.
Oh, so if...
So it turns off same old thing.
Right, okay,
Which is the only reason the criminal cares about it. Because most criminals, especially now that we've seen a lot of his influence, aren't really running much recursion on their programs. But same old thing, he definitely wants to repeatedly account siphon. So
yeah,
I'm guessing that blacklist will get trashed at some point in the future.
Got it. So that seems good. I would actually say that, yeah, the blacklist really hurts a lot of other decks. Like,
yes, yeah, it really hurts Anarchs. It really hurts the...
Shaper with Clone Chip.
Yeah,
Anarchs
Shapers.
using Clone Chip and Slash or any of the Anarch tricks to get anything out back.
Yeah. Max in general, it's a pretty rough card against.
Oh, if... does Levy actually say return everything, or it's just shuffle your heat back in? So it's actually, it gets around that.
No, it actually doesn't.
It does not.
It just, the only thing Levy does when Blacklist is on the table is shuffle your hand into your deck.
And draw 5.
And draw 5.
That's it.
Yes.
Wow. That's so good.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid card. I was running a very similar deck to Sean on this day, and I also have Blacklist in there, but I only think it ever ended up mattering once, which is not bad for a card that's only a 1-of.
Oh, that's true, because if you didn't run consistency, then there wouldn't have been that many chances necessarily.
But it was the time where I actually played it was the only time I wanted it the entire tournament, so it actually worked out pretty well.
Nice, okay. Tim making the metagame calls.
Meta calls. Yeah, and it looks like he dumped one of the breaking news into the trash there.
Yeah, I mean, if he's going to get rid of something so that somebody can get a point.
Right.
Although, to be fair, a breaking news, why wouldn't you just score it? Unless he's saving it for, like, a win.
Yeah, but also, he might not want to... A lot of times when you just score a breaking news out of nowhere, it kind of signals that you're flooded because you're just trying to unload agenda.
Okay.
And so here, I think this is a slight misplay on Sean's part, that he reses the Enigma, because it makes it a risk that Greg will just not activate the Siphon and access a card instead, since it's only for 4 credits. And at this point, his hand is all agendas. So,
yeah. However, he does take the credits.
He does take the credits, though, which Sean has been playing like he doesn't have anything in hand. So,
yeah,
I think that may have worked out.
That might have actually been the correct play there. So,
yeah. So he reses a pop-up, and again, seeing 2 cards and getting data suckers. So this is that classic criminal style: take their money and then raid their R&D. Ooh,
oh, another Jackson.
Jackson number 2 is gone. No.
This game is super brutal.
Oh, man.
How is Sean going to pull out of this one?
I think you just kind of take money and hope you can get Sansan up? Oh, daily business show? Okay. So at least with the business show up, he can try to filter for the next Jackson perhaps, or some cash, or... Okay, so it looks like marked accounts. Yeah, anything at all. And there's another agenda. My goodness.
Greg really needs to take advantage of this somehow.
Yes. Yeah, if he legworked at this point, he would score 6 points. But again, Sean has been playing as if he doesn't have anything in hand, so...
It's kind of odd, because I played Jeremy the other day, and he had apparently had like 13 points of agendas in hand with 7 cards. And I only got 1. I missed the other 2. So like, what? So it does happen.
It does happen, yes.
Even if you just have 1, that is not an agenda.
Right. It can be enough.
It could be a thing.
Yes.
Although, to be fair, as like a mind thing, if you do a legwork and you do get 3 agendas, what are the odds that you think that there's going to be more agendas?
Right, exactly.
You know?
That's got to be it at that point, right?
Right. So it's like, well, there's no way he's got anything else.
Yeah. No, and so the second R&D interface comes in, and just hammering R&D, because there's no real reason not to at this point.
And to be honest, Sean...
Jackson
all
number
the Jacksons.
3 is gone. Okay.
So now he's just playing agendas from hand. That's all he's got. That's what he's got to do.
Yeah.
Number 1. Number 2, he does know that R&D is relatively safe because the density is super low.
Exactly, yeah.
Because most of them are in his hand.
They're either in his hand or in his archives. So he can just, let the runs go on R&D at this point.
So technically that Eli is actually being his hero right now.
Yes. So looking at another 3 cards. And he sees, I think, what is an NEPD at this point. And they were unclear whether or not he had to reveal that he had seen an NAPD. So they're calling in Jeremy again for another hot tournament ruling.
Yeah, I don't believe he has to reveal.
No, he does not.
Because it's just like, well, if you can't steal it, you just kind of leave it there, right?
Right,
So if you steal it, you show it because you're taking
it. Right.
But other than that, I think that's it. So
he's seen an NAPD off R&D. He probably just figured, that they're just kind of towards the bottom of R&D at this point. And all the Jacksons are out, so he probably figures they haven't been thrown into archives. So I'd be doing the exact same thing in this case and just pounding R&D probably.
Yeah, if I was actually Greg at this point, I'd probably consider running an HQ at least once.
Just to see what he's holding.
Because, I mean, Eli, you can just click through. It's by it, right? You know.
Yep. And you make a credit and a data sucker off of it, so it's not a complete wash.
Right, yeah.
And yes, they did, in fact, confirm that he does not have to reveal the NAPD. And I think Greg may have forgotten about the Daily Business Show, because I think he assumed he would just run and grab it next turn.
Yeah, because if Sean draws 1 now, he'll get it.
Right.
But then that'll put it in his hand, and maybe he knows this, and decide not to draw it.
Right.
Because wasn't NAPD 3rd down, or was it 2nd down?
I couldn't tell.
Okay.
It looks like it must have been 2nd, because he just drew a sweep on the 3rd one down.
Yeah, it must have been the 2nd one, yeah.
Okay, so he's finally getting a little bit of money on the corp side. So at this point, it's looking like I would guess he's going to try to start popping off the sand next turn.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this shows how inept I am, but when I'm in weird situations like this, I sometimes just hole up and just go credit for the corp turn.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you gotta, but I feel like Sean should have maybe done that a little bit sooner.
Yeah. Earlier in the game, if he had, I guess, taken money instead of drawing. I mean, he was drawing to try to get Jackson early on. So if he had used some of those clicks to get money, he could have potentially started scoring. But it's a tough balance.
I would have maybe being around 5 to 8 credits is comfortable for him. Like you don't need huge amounts, right? You just need a little bit to survive,
right? Ideally, you want to be able to score off the sand and defend it for a turn or two. And besides that, money isn't that big a deal.
Also, I know that Sean is in kind of a weird dire situation here, but Greg still has these 2 tags, and the baby bucks I think has paid out several times.
Yeah, he's been using it just about every turn, I think.
So it just I would have gotten that. I'm not sure if I would have necessarily hit the same old thing yet because Blacklist is still out.
Right. Yeah, you wait for him to go after the Blacklist and waste some time. But yeah. Sean is in pretty dire straits, so he's probably just looking for any way he can not lose immediately.
I'm not going to lie, I kind of admire that this is a really tough situation for him.
Yeah, it is. Oh, and he does go get the Blacklist.
Yep.
So does this mean a account siphon is incoming?
What timing? Look at what we called that.
We got our finger on the pulse here, man. And running R&D. So this is actually working out for Sean, though, because he's running through pop-up window so many times that this is actually Sean's major source of income right now.
Right.
And it looks like he's...
Oh, and he res another...
marked accounts.
Yeah, marked accounts.
Got a couple of those ticking down, and he's getting 1 or 2 pop-up window tokens per turn, it seems like, credits per turn.
Yep. So even though security testing in Desperado, I don't think Andromeda's getting enough money to trash everything willy-nilly. So
right.
It's a good pacer to just kind of keep them back without...
Yeah, and especially those marked accounts. It seems like spending 5 credits versus the 4 for pad campaign, people will never trash marked accounts.
Right.
I don't know why. It's that 1 credit difference, though.
And they also have to persistently use a click every once in a while.
Yeah, so it's not as lucrative as letting a pad just tick down, I suppose. And it looks like he's got another blacklist in hand here. So he could blacklist again to prevent the same old siphon.
Also, Nam might have done something stupidly ballsy. I emphasize the stupidly because sometimes I've just gone, install remote, install remote, install remote.
Yes.
And sometimes it's more than one agenda. And that's the stupid part.
Yes.
So if you can help it, don't do that. But no, doing that with like 2 assets and
yes,
agenda, that works out more often than
Right.
I've really like to admit because statistics are in your favor.
Yes.
I've been able to score one without any protection. It was like, oh my god, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah, that was actually how So Sean is playing clearly the fast advanced version of the NEH. One of the big other ones is the Butcher Shop, where it tries to hit you with traffic accidents and Scorched Earth. And that's how I ended up losing to one of those this past weekend. Is he hung an agenda out there for the entire game, and then eventually there was a breaking news. Eventually scored it and used it to blow me up. So check remotes is the moral of the story here.
And you've also got to, but see, you can't just willy-nilly check remotes because if one of them's an agenda and that's the thing that's going to kill you, you also have to make sure you have enough money.
Exactly. Yes. Okay, so carefully considering here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of this game because I feel like the guys are both feeling kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Even though I actually feel like Greg's actually in a better position.
Yes,
only because we know what is in Sean's hand. Yeah.
But yeah, from his point of view, he's been hitting R&D every turn for 2 or 3 cards, and hasn't gotten any agendas because that NAPD got shuffled back in.
Right.
And so especially since Business Show has been up for so long, he probably figures that Business Show is just chucking all the agendas on the bottom of the deck, and is kind of just waiting for them to come back around.
If that's actually the case, then Sean is pulling a miracle here.
Yes. Yeah, we can see he still has 5 agendas in hand.
And he's like the score is still 0-0.
Yeah. Okay. So
there's nothing. Nothing has been scored.
I think he's going for his first score here. And Sean being very deliberate about his advances because Clot exists, even though Greg has no way of getting a Clot onto the board. It's still a habit we all have to use now because of that card exists.
And actually, if you notice his etiquette, he actually advanced first.
Yes.
So that if he happened to pull out Clot for whatever reason, then he didn't have to spend the 6 to res the Sansan just then.
Right.
So.
And also, if they don't pull the Clot out after you've advanced it twice, then you can res Sansan and immediately score before they have a chance.
Right, exactly.
So that's the new way to use Sansan, boys and girls.
So res it last.
And you can see my favorite thing here is that Sean has a small train that he uses as his agenda counter on AstroScript.
Right.
I told him he needs to get a train whistle to blow whenever he scores the second Astro, but he thinks that people wouldn't like him for that.
I mean, all of us who know him, we'd be okay with it.
Yes.
It's just if he goes out and away.
If you show up at somebody else's town with a conductor's hat and a train whistle, they might not like it.
Oh, man.
All right, so again, hitting R&D and unfortunately...
Oh,
he does grab an NEP. Okay, so we're tied at 2 here.
2-2.
Unfortunately for Greg, though, running through this pop-up over and over is giving Sean the credits he needs to score agendas on his turn.
And all of the agendas are in his hands.
Yes. Of course, he has no idea about that. And
now, he has enough credits. I'd be tempted to just score and just save,
Yeah.
and just save things so that...
Stall, advance.
Yep.
Advance. And is that the
There you
second
go.
Astro?
Oh,
it's another
second
Astro.
Astro
Okay.
script.
Things just got difficult.
As it turns out, I think I heard a story where Sean doesn't have 2 train tokens.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because usually he uses one to score the previous one.
Yes.
So this is a weird situation for him.
Yes. Yeah, this is uncharted territory. This is wonderful territory to be in.
Yeah. So at this point, if those marked accounts are loaded, he can just win in the next 2 turns.
Right.
I don't know if they are,
I think
though.
there's one up off the top of the screen that I may have 1 credit on it. The 2 on screen do not have credits. And yeah, now things are getting for Greg are getting a little stressful because he's got 2 Astro tokens.
So now Greg gets the idea. Hey, I have to run on HQ.
Things are getting desperate.
As it turns out, maybe it didn't occur to him before that there was stuff.
Oh,
there.
and he sees a sweeps week. So
yes, which is what I said. You
Yep.
need to keep the sweeps week in hand.
Exactly. And so does he run again? Does he think that there's other stuff in there? And he goes and trashes the marked account, which is definitely the correct move there, because it means that Sean cannot score something else off the Sand on his turn, although he does have 2 Astro counters.
Yeah.
So he can score with 1 credit, even one of the Beals he has in hand.
However, so right now, I think it's a choice between a Beal and a sweeps week.
Yes.
I think the correct choice here is actually do both, because he has enough tokens.
Right. He could, yeah. Depending on, I can't tell whether he has a breaking news in hand. Okay, so he likes to go for the sweeps week.
Well, he's definitely doing the sweeps week.
Yes.
That's
now
a good call.
Does he then score a Beal as well?
Yeah.
Which seems like the correct play. And it looks like that's what he's going for. So install, advance, and then use one of the Astro counters and score a Beal. Putting him to 6 points.
Boom.
So Sean is toughing it out here.
Sean has amazingly come back with no Jacksons.
No Jacksons.
A full hand of agendas since almost the beginning of the game.
Yes.
Like virtually the beginning of the game.
I think there's at least 2 to 3 points of agenda in the archives.
And to be honest, it looks really dire for Greg here.
Yeah, he's up against 6 points and a live Astro token and a live Sansan. So he can even score the NAPD out of hand at this point.
And he also does not know what...
Okay, so the account siphon does come in. So this gives him at least another turn.
Right, because he has to take the money. There's no choice here.
You'd absolutely take the money this time. And then you can't run R&D to give him the pop-up window credit.
Right, because that would be too dangerous.
Right. And see, now the question is, for Sean, do you res this ice to deny money, or do you keep it down to discourage access? And he reses.
It's a 2. Because basically he's still committed to taking the money. He has to take the dollars.
So this is the correct res for sure.
And, it's 0, but he's going to have to spend $1 to get through anyway.
Right.
So at least keep the runner low, too. Why not?
I believe this was his second click, so he still can click through the Eli in the back. So he's not completely sunk here.
You know, for a large portion of the game, I was actually feeling really bad for Sean.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, I'm actually feeling bad for Greg now.
Yes.
Because it almost looks like a dominating position.
Yeah.
Like, the only way Sean can't win is if he actually had nothing in hand and no daily business show.
Right.
And Greg kept on running R&D.
Right. Because at this point, if there aren't agendas in hand, Greg can just fully R&D lock and pretty much lock the game up.
Oh, wait. No, he can't fully R&D lock with just 2 because of NEH's ability.
So he could draw...
So he looks at 3, right? And assume none of them are that. The first one is the mandatory turn.
Yeah.
Then he installs to draw, and then he can draw one more. That's 2 clicks.
And then draw
again. One more. So it's actually 1 addition.
Yeah.
So he would
could
actually
still sneak through. So he goes on R&D here. So he bounces off the wraparound and runs R&D. And he's taking a look at 3 cards here, using some data suckers to get through Eli.
Oh, I think that might have been a bad idea.
Oh, he does grab an Astro.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, there's a B. Oh, things just got interesting.
So it's now 6-6. Oh, dude, this game is way more epic than I thought it was going to be.
But, of course, we know Sean had it
Yeah,
in
we know
hand.
Sean has it in hand, so if he had the money. Done. Game.
And that's the game. Wow, so Sean completely stone faces his way through.
Yeah.
Managed to score out from holding all agendas for the entire early game.
And it just looks like right there, Sean had just confessed, I was agenda flooding the entire game.
Yeah.
Like,
So, wow.
it was amazing.
Well
played
by
Sean.
And Greg almost grabbed it there. Was in a commanding position for a long time.
Yeah.
So we'll be moving on to some more games from the elimination rounds here. And so make sure you come on back. We've got a lot of good games coming up. Thanks for watching.
All right. See you later.